This is Gabby. And on paper, with her husband, they make over $165,000 per year. But their finances are a total mess.
We bought a house. We had no savings. We started having problems with the house, so we had to go into more credit card debt. And that's where it just all started.
And that's the beginning of kind of a nightmare situation. At some point, I believe you stacked up tens of thousands of dollars of credit cards. One bad decision after another led them to live paycheck to paycheck with no saving, plus a third baby on the way.
I just need your help. I don't know what to do.
My name is Romain, and for the past 10 years, I've been on a quest to tackle America's toughest personal finance situations. Leveraging my Ivy League master degree and personal experience, I've found solutions for what seems impossible. In 1 year, you can completely be in a different spot. Are we ready to take action?
Yes.
Will this be the one I cannot solve? Let's see what happens. Gabby, let's look at your profile. You are 35 years old. You're originally from Long Beach, California. You currently live in Oklahoma City. You have multiple jobs. You work 60 plus hours a week. And on top of that, you're pregnant. Is that right?
Yes.
Looking at the way you've rated your personal finance, Gabby, from chilling to Mayday, today you rated yourself as yikes. Gabby, can you tell me a little bit about what's going on here?
So I'm here today because I need your help. I feel very overwhelmed. I'm pregnant with my third child. I have 2 toddlers, and I just need your help. I don't know what to do.
Okay, so you pretty much have kind of that nervosity around all of it, and this has kind of started from a couple years ago when you were into a pretty steep amount of debt, a lot of which was credit card debt. At some point, I believe you stacked up tens of thousands of dollars of credit cards. Walk me through a little bit about who was that Gabby at the time?
I was very careless at first. We bought a house. We had no savings. We started having problems with the house, electrical problems. We didn't have any savings, like I said, so we had to go into more credit card debt, and that's where it just all started.
That's right, and that's the problem that many people experience is they get into that American dream, let me get a house, let me get to it. And then, things happen. As far as I could see, you actually even took a loan on your down payment.
Yes, we did. We took a 401k loan.
Yeah. So all of this combined, plus something arose, an electrical issue that was at the time, how much did that cost you?
$4,000.
$4,000, and with no savings, you put that on credit card debt?
Yes, we did.
And that's the beginning of kind of a nightmare situation where you kind of always underwater.
Right.
To the point at which, as you mentioned, as you said, at some point you stack up to $20,000 of credit card debt. But at the time, you don't really know what's going on, and you just don't really feel like there is a problem, right?
We didn't realize we were not on a budget.
On top of that, you make very expensive purchases on depreciating assets.
Oh, yeah.
Like a Honda Pilot that's almost $30,000. And your husband, Mauricio, which we'll be speaking about later, also buys a Lexus that's also $30,000. So you guys are underwater tens of thousands of dollars. And quickly kind of pressure gets to you, anxiety. And at some point, something flipped. What happened? What was the real thing that happened that made you say, oh, we need to take care of our situation here?
I got pregnant. I had kids. Yeah.
There you go. That's generally what happens. And so at the time, how do you feel about all of this?
I felt very stressed. We realized that we make too much money to be broke, to be living paycheck to paycheck. Every week we were short. We were short $100 here, $100 there, and we were using that. I forgot what it was called, but it was an app that lets you borrow from your
future paycheck. Yeah. That is tough territory, guys. You put that into process, and what do you do from there?
We sold our house in California, and that's when we decided to move to Oklahoma City. That's when I decided to sell the cars. I sold both the cars. We bought used cars, all cash.
Speaking about those,
Yes.
Those are pretty old cars, but a good strategy at the time. You had to save yourself.
Yeah. And also the student loans were coming into full effect. So we were living like we had no student loans. So
almost over $100,000 at the time of student loans as well. So everything kind of piles up.
Right. So we sold the cars, we bought used cars, we had $1,000 in our emergency fund, and then that's when we started tackling the credit cards. However, I got pregnant again. Now I'm in the situation where I don't know what to do. I don't know. I have to just pause. I mean, keep doing the minimum payment on the student loans, pause, save for the future baby.
That's right, because I mean, while you've gotten yourself out of that trouble in a way, you still guys are working of a very fine line with now a third kid on the way.
Right.
Things are not working as well as you would want. You still are stacking on quite a bit of debt, but not all is over. In fact, let's transition as we think together at your current situation with you and your partner today, looking at your income and your assets. Gabby today, and I will be also speaking about you with your partner, Mauricio. I believe you guys have been together for a long time right now. So I will be looking at you guys as one unit since you share everything.
Right.
All the accounts are shared, debt is shared, everything is on two names. So let's look at you guys together. Mauricio couldn't be here with us today because you flew from Oklahoma City and he's taking care of the kids. That's just the way it is. Let's look at you, Gabby, 35 years old. You have 2 jobs. What do you do?
I'm a quality assurance auditor for a healthcare company. That's my full-time job.
40 hours a week?
Right.
And on top of that,
I'm a pharmacy tech for a pharmacy, and I work Fridays and Saturdays, just part-time.
awesome, definitely a hard worker, while pregnant, with 2 kids, and one on the way. How many hours do you work per week?
60 hours per week.
60 hours, and together, combining both jobs, how much do you make per year?
75.
$75,000. Okay, that is your position. Now let's look at your husband, Mauricio, who is a little bit older than you. You're 35. How old is Mauricio?
He's 44.
44. What does he do for a living?
He's an accountant.
How much does he make per year?
90.
And I believe that he just recently started his new job, right?
Right, correct, yeah.
Okay, so together that brings your income at around $165,000 or so. But you are incurring a lot of expenses when it comes to your insurance and so on. So net per month, you guys are at around $10,200, $10,500 or so. Net, is that right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Looking at the way you guys compare against the median in the United States, 50% make more, 50% make less. For the age bracket between 35 and 44, the median is at 61,300. Okay, so you're doing much better than the median, and also you're living in Oklahoma City, which I believe is a really good cost of living area. In fact, we'll be looking at the value of your house for 1 acre. It's pretty awesome what you guys have accomplished. Are we expecting any other forms of income soon?
No.
And right now, when it comes to your pregnancy, at the time that we're speaking, you're about 3 months pregnant.
Right.
Soon you will be going and granted through mother leave, right? How do you call that?
Maternity leave.
Maternity leave. Mm-hmm. So your salary will continue as you go through that process.
Right, yeah.
Okay. We'll be speaking if actually the trade-off of being a mother versus how much you're making and how much you're paying in daycare, is that a good trade-off right now, especially with soon to be 3 kids? We'll be discussing on that front. I have my personal opinion as well on it. Mm-hmm. But again, that is kind of summarize your income. Let's look at your assets. So guys, this is going to be a little bit juicy here when looking at your assets. It's nothing too crazy in terms of the variety of which. Let's dive one by one. You have a checking account with a balance of $124. Mm-hmm. You also have a saving account. Again, this is together with $3,208. Do we have any other form of liquidity, like cash money that we can use if something was to arise today?
No.
That's what's a little bit scary, because that only gives you about $3,300 in front of you right now. Now, fortunately, this is not only what you have. You also have cars, which I'm glad that you sold those $30,000 plus cars and bought pretty good values ones. What do you guys drive?
I drive a Toyota Sienna 2004.
So that's a minivan for the kids?
Correct, yeah.
How many miles?
211.
211, okay. The value on Kelly Blue Book for it is about 3,800.
That's about right.
Now, looking at your husband, what does he drive?
He drives a 92 Chevrolet K1500.
Okay, that's a truck. That's a pretty old truck. Probably miles per gallon is rough. We'll be speaking about this. How many miles?
251.
251,000 still running.
Yes, still running. Yeah, he fixes up and he maintains it. So.
All right, that has a value of 2,140.
Okay.
Together, that brings your current car value, if you were to sell it, at $5,940, which is much better than 60,000. Now,
Oh yeah.
I like to have a new technology, airbags, and so on, especially when we have kids in cars. But sometimes that's the way we have to run things.
Right.
Now, what's nice to see and looking upon your statement is you guys love retirement, especially you. Gabby, you've been able to put quite a bit of money on the side when it comes to your retirement on a 401k to the amount of 59,959. What is nice to see is that despite you being in a target fund, you're in a target 2055, you've averaged year to date about 15.5% return, which is pretty good. At the time of our speaking, the S&P 500 was at 17.5, so you're not too far off, which is nice to see. For the most part, when I see you and saving on your 401k, you're pretty much going to the match right now, which I will always recommend. It is free money. I will always recommend, even before putting money into a Roth IRA, to get that damn match. This is good. All right, I like it. So that is about you. Now, your husband has not done as great
No.
when it comes to his retirement. And I mean, it's very nice because I have here about 100 or so pages of everything that you guys have and all the positions and so on. You came to the show ready. I love to see that. But we've summarized it already for our audience. Your husband has 14,111.
Right.
So your husband is 44 years old. How, and I know you can't really speak for him, but how do you explain that you've put 60,000 and he's only put 14,000 and he's 44 years old? What's going on? Did you guys know that over 40% of Americans have a side hustle? And on average, they're making $1,100 per month. And that, guys, is real money. But here is the trap. Most people are actually funneling that money through their personal checking accounts. And when tax season comes like we are right now, well, it's chaos. That's why I recommend and use Relay. It's business banking built for side hustlers. You can open multiple checking accounts, keeping your income and expenses clean, and even automate savings for taxes. There are no account fees, no minimum, no more digging through countless amount of Venmo screenshots in order to know how much you made during last quarter. So if you're making money on the side, guys, treat it like a business and use Relay as your preferred business banking partner. Check out the link below to get started today.
I think we were never taught about like investing. So I'm not sure about like his family or like his, parents, what they taught him, but like my parents never taught me anything about money, just save. And if you get credit cards, pay them off. I think maybe that's the same way he grew up. Maybe not.
But he's an accountant. You would think that he has exposure to it.
But
He's not...
to be fair, he did go to school late. So he didn't go to accounting school till in his 30s.
Okay, all right. Let's think about this. But again, what's a little bit worrisome here is that this is illiquid money. You can't really touch that until at least 59.5 years old. Or you're taking a 10% penalty, if not more. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, you also have a house. You bought a house in Oklahoma City?
Yes.
How much is the house valued for?
Around $270,000.
$270,000 for that house. We'll see if you guys actually have equity on it against your mortgage. But any other form of assets?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay, so together that brings your total assets as a couple today at $353,242.
That sounds about right.
Okay, excellent. Are we expecting any other form of assets coming through or anything?
No.
You have a mortgage on this house of how much?
$132,000.
$132,000. So that brings your current equity on that house, positive equity on that house, to $138,000. So you're on the positive on that front.
Right.
That's nice. You have a decent interest rate here. I see about 5.5%. How much is your monthly payment on this?
$1,748.
You guys decided to go the route of 15 years. What was the decision behind it?
Dave Ramsey.
Okay, all right. So we have Dave Ramsey fanatics. And I must say, in ways, I do like the Dave Ramsey methodology. I think in my mind, it's a little bit outdated in some aspects. But hey, for some people, sometimes it's kind of black and white and rock and roll. But overall, what is my take when I think about mortgage, 15 years versus 30 years? Well, in my mind, personally, I will take a 30 years. Because I believe that I'm able to invest my money better than at the rate that I'm paying against my mortgage. Right? For you, it's 5.5%. There is a trick that I will always recommend. If you want to, on a 30-year mortgage, you can reduce it by 7 years. And how do you do that? Is by doing bi-weekly payments.
Okay.
So you divide the amount that you owe on a monthly basis, and you just do every 2 weeks instead of every month. You pay every 2 weeks. And what's going to happen is that this is going to force you, by just pure math, to do one extra payment per year. And that will drastically reduce your mortgage to about 23 years instead of 30, without really you realizing in that much. So that's a trick that you guys can employ at home. But for the most part, given the level of anxiety that you had, and that was one of the fundings of why you left Los Angeles to be a homeowner and to be at it pretty fast, this actually to you works pretty well. You guys have about 13 years left on this. But that's not only the only cost that you have related to your house. If we look at gas, electricity, and water, as well as trash that I've all taken from your statements, you're at $2,148 per month.
That's correct.
Looking at how that compares against what you should be with regards to your housing expense against your income, you're at 21%. You should be at less than 28%. Congratulations, my dear friend. You're building equity, and on top of that, you're right when it comes to numbers. So right now, housing is good to go.
Oh, nice.
Let's transition to your other expenses, your transportation. So this is where some red flags are starting to appear, Gabby, because while you guys are not really paying much for your cars, I'm still accounting here for a little bit of maintenance cost, because those cars are, both of them, over 200,000 miles, and one of them is a gas guzzler, namely the one of your husband, which is a truck with 9 miles per gallon. When he drives, how long every day to go to work?
An hour.
That's right. So how much does this guy, Mauricio, if you see us, how much does he spend per week on gas?
I think it averages about 100 per week.
100?
I think, yeah.
So let's think about this for a second together. It's about $400 a month. On top of that, the truck is 30 years old. I was born in 92. Okay, 31 years old. So when it comes to maintenance and so on, at least $100 to $150 per month. Think about this for a second. Now, the truck, very quickly, cost him around $550 to $600 a month. So this is where you guys are going to have to think together, as much as he may love this truck, as to at $550, $600, he can have a pretty good car, He can have a car that maybe is costing him about $300 or so per month, that is going to have much greater safety.
Right.
Because, I'm going to kind of give you the reality at which, at our age, we are almost in the same age bracket, between 30 and 45. The greatest risk that we have is car accidents. And with 3 kids and a wife, he's putting a lot of risk into it. So I'm not a fan of it, personally. I think that you guys are not saving money on it. I think you're not being really safe with it.
Okay.
And on top of that, I want to see your insurance, because I looked into your statement, and it seems that you guys are only spending $125 for both cars in insurance. Give me the insurance policy. I want to see what's going on. This is going to be a lesson for all of us, because I was the first impacted by this. As you guys know, well, our friend here pulls out a phone. At some point, I was young. I got hit at 60 miles an hour at a red light where I was crossing through the green light. And I got screwed, because my insurance policy providers, they say, you can save money left and right by doing this and so on. And for the most part, I was covered at the minimums, and I got screwed. $160,000 of debt.
Oh my goodness.
So I learned my lesson, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Let's look at your policy coverage. at $125 per month, you probably don't have much. In fact, let's look at this. Yes, right? Bodily injury, you're at $25,000 per person, $50,000 per accident. This is state minimums. Anyone that's watching, I would always recommend at least 50, 100. 50,000, 100,000. You're at 25,000, 50,000 right now. So you want to double that.
Okay.
Preferably, honestly, if you can afford it, I will always go for 100,000, 300,000. That's what I have personally.
Okay.
Okay? And on top of that, what's the most scary is that you don't have uninsured, underinsured. So what you need to understand when you think about car insurance is that what I mentioned to you, the bodily injury and property damage, that is, it's your fault. If it's someone else's fault, this doesn't come into play.
Okay.
And imagine this guy doesn't have insurance, which is the case for many people.
Right.
You are screwed.
Got it.
So you will always want to match your bodily injury to what is referred to as uninsured, underinsured. Because then that covers you if you are at fault, but also if someone else is at fault and they don't have coverage. Because right now, what you're covering is the other person. You're not covering yourself.
I see. Okay.
Aha. See what I mean?
I will get that changed.
So we need to make that change. You also have pretty expensive deductibles. The cars are old, so I don't mind it too much for you to have high deductibles. I generally like to myself to be at around 500, but my car is more recent. You had 1,500. The cars are not worth that much, so not too bad on that front. But what I'm mostly worried is kind of the medical debt complications and so on that can come through that, where you wouldn't be covered here. Kind of are taking a risk every time you guys are both on the street.
Sounds good.
Okay. So when we look at your gas expense in the Toyota, I mean, for now, we can't really change that much. Again, it's 20 years old cars with 2 young kids in it. We don't want to be in some form of troubles, but at some point, this is something that I want you to think of is how do we increase the safety levels? Okay. This is today one of the biggest threats that you have. Finances are good, but also you want to put yourself in a positions where you're safe if something was to arise.
Okay.
Together, that brings your current transportation expense at 9%. Okay? We like it to be below 15. So you can increase a little bit on that front. Okay? I'm not encouraging you, that's the first thing, although I would change his truck pretty soon, in the next couple months. But this is something you guys can allow yourself a little bit more of a budget, okay?
Okay.
You're a mother of 2 children. And for the most part, what is nice to see is that a lot of your expenses are for groceries. At $150 per week, so about $600 per month.
Right.
For 4 people, for groceries. To me, honestly, this is a little bit on the low end, so you're being very thoughtful. But I have some questions as to some of the recent expenses. Gabby, what's going on here, especially this most recent months here? We were going a little bit around and having some fun, huh?
Right. Yes. It was a special month.
Some of them that I want to ask you is, why do you have crazy expenses at 7-Eleven? Is it for fuel?
7-Eleven. Yeah, he goes a lot to like 7-Eleven.
Yeah, but that's an awful trade. Okay? The 7-Eleven, I see CVS, all of those are kind of the worst deals that you can get on the street.
Okay.
To be honest with you. Why do I see expenses at Costco and at Sam's Club? You guys have both membership?
Yeah. My mom pays for the Costco and then I pay for the Sam's.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. My preference is Costco, personally.
Yeah. Sam's is just closer, but yeah, I do prefer Costco. But yeah, I do like Sam's too.
Slightly better prices. Okay. Now, you're going to have to tell me a little bit about what's going on here with regards to some of the going out expenses that we had during that month.
Was that like late August?
$105, $101. What's going on?
So it was August. It was like late August. It was my birthday, and then it was my daughter's birthday, and then we had friends come over from Florida. So that was just a very special month.
Almost every day I see that you're spending money on fast foods.
I know, yeah.
Wendy's,
but I do have a problem.
McDonald's. What? How do you explain that? I mean, there is a day when you went 3 times.
3 times?
3 times to Wendy's. 8:39, 23, and 5:07.
Oh, that's very odd. I don't remember doing that.
How do we explain so much spend on, on fast foods and so on? What's going on? McDonald's almost every day.
Every day? Oh my gosh. Oh, well, the kids love the Happy Meals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. That's...
Because it's taking you quite a bit. I mean, it's not crazy expenses. It's just the repetition of which,
But that Wendy's 3 times a day, that's a little weird. Oh, probably the day that my husband forgot my chili beans. So maybe that's why he had to go back and get them.
Yeah. I'm not saying no to it. I'm just saying not every day.
Right. Yeah, no.
Health-wise, it's a little bit worrisome. There's a little bit of Starbucks as well. But what I see as well is a veterinary expenses of 165. So you do have pets. What pets do you have?
I have 4 dogs, 2 older ones, and one of the older ones is the one that's getting a little bit, that's him.
Okay. Do we know the question that I'm going to ask?
Yes.
Do you have it?
No.
Gabby, what's going on? What are you?
My 2 older dogs are just really, really old.
But the younger ones, we want them on it.
Yeah, for the new one, yeah, I will get her pet insurance.
As you guys know, the preferred partner on the channel is Lemonade. I love them. Let's move on to some of the rest of your expenses. What is Williams Food?
Oh, that's groceries. We buy groceries.
I'm not familiar with them. Is it like a Smith's? Is it like a Walmart? What category is it? Because you've spent last month, on that month, one time at Costco. One time at Costco, one time at Sam's Club. Mm-hmm. To me, for a family of 4, I should see almost 80 to 85% of your grocery expense spent at Costco and Sam's Club. You're spending at pretty expensive supermarkets.
Yeah, Williams. Yeah, it's just the one store nearby. Mm-hmm. The meats are pretty cheap there compared to.
Okay. I mean, I just want you to kind of find ways, because for the most part, in ways, I don't see anything related to you. You see what I mean? I don't really see much. You're prioritizing convenience, but in ways, I can understand you're working 60 hours, you have 2 kids and so on. Let's just try and be a little bit more strategic, because this, on top of that, is taking a lot of your time, And those convenience things, they can run you expensive. But I mean, I understand, the young mother, and I mean, you're spending quite a bit of money on daycare for your kids too. Mm-hmm. How much are you guys spending on this?
$440 per week.
$440 per week, so almost $1,800. Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, you're bringing home yourself about $4,500 or so per month. So the trade-off financially is worth it. Emotionally, how do you feel about it?
I don't like it. I wish I could just be a stay-at-home mom, but that's just not possible right now.
No, I would say mathematically you guys cannot afford that, because we need, at least for the next couple of years, that extra $2,500 coming through.
Right.
It's a regret. I wish I could tell you, yes, you can rock and roll on it. But right now, I mean, at least your jobs are remote. So hopefully that helps. But it makes sense to me now why you're kind of going through McDonald's and so on to kind of, because they like that stuff.
Makes them happy, the Happy Meals.
I know. Just we're going to think about a budget on it. I don't want to restrict it completely for your kids. I will always allow for that, but we just can't have it every day. Every day or so, okay? I see also some lime ride.
He came from Florida and we went to downtown Oklahoma City and they have those little scooters.
$50? $27, $28. You guys were renting this for 2 hours?
Yeah, I think it was like more than 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean...
But we don't do that often. It was just the one-time thing. That was my first time ever riding that.
But, I mean, when we look at that month, you guys brought in about $9,500 and you spent $9,400. So, you saved $70. You're still carrying on your back debt from the past. Most notably, student loans. Mm-hmm. Tens of student loans across you and your partner. Let's look at your partner first. He sums to $42,121.
Right.
Interest rate ranging from 3.5 to 6.5%. Monthly payment for it is about $335. Not too bad. Now yours is a little bit tougher. You sum to 52,990. Same thing, interest rate ranging from 3.5% to 6.5%. Monthly payment, 613. What did you study?
Business administration.
Okay, so that's generally a pretty good diploma.
Right.
Has it been used? Would you have done it again? What would you have done?
No, it hasn't been used in the recent wise because I started having babies and I didn't want to leave my remote job to go into office. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't used it. But I am planning in a few years because this will be my last baby.
Oh, that's it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no more.
3 numbers is a good number. You know, my partner and I are still kind of thinking about it.
They're amazing.
Yeah?
It's hard, but.
I don't know. I'm still kind of. We are always on the line. You're like, in ways, we want to be a little bit more financially stable, because right now we are both kind of going into that entrepreneurial venture.
Right.
There is never a great time. There is never a bad time neither, I feel,
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for that sidetrack, but, as some people think, that I'm just a podcast host, but like anyone, I'm also a human going through similar emotions as sometimes you as well. When we think about anxiety, I mean, I'm going through a very entrepreneurial venture right now, and finances are in ways a little bit unstable, unpredictable, and so I can feel some of the emotions that you're feeling with all this. And so I will try and bring kind of what are some of the things that have worked for me as we think about our recommendation together. But now together that brings your total student loan at 95,111.
Right.
Okay. You also have another form of debt, 4,434, which is a home loan that you took against your 401k.
Right.
For your down payment on your house. So.
I know.
5.75%. So do I like loans against 401k? I'd rather have people take loans against their 401k than redeem or cash out with the penalties and so on. Okay? Now, would I use a loan for a 401k for a down payment on a house? Heck no! Because then you end up in a situation that you were, where you got the house, no savings, your down payment is on a loan, something arises, and boom, it explodes. Somehow you got fortunate that you bought the house at a great time, that you were able to make a profit on it. But if you were into a situation where you're money dry, or you're in 2008, you get foreclosed, you file for bankruptcy, see the risk that you dodged the bullet, my friend.
Yeah.
Huh? So sometimes we're fortunate in some of the decisions that we've made. We don't advise on paper, but sometimes it's just the way life is. On paper, this could have been very risky. Somehow you made it work. You're still carrying that debt.
Got lucky, yeah.
Together, combined with your house, that brings your total amount of debt at 231,545. If we look at your net worth, together as a couple, you guys are worth 121,697. How do we think about it?
I'm still a little nervous. I don't think that's enough for retirement. I mean, I don't want to retire early, but I don't feel like that's enough.
You guys are a little bit below where you should be comparison, but you haven't played your cards too bad, Let's see how we bring this all together into the next section of our show, which looks at the money case. Today, I'm going to be introducing you to something that I think is going to change your thoughts around how we think about money. Because the Dave Ramsey method is nice and so on, but is it something that we can push the strategy to something that's a little bit more advantageous, a little bit more refined and advanced, that is going to kind of leverage exactly to your situation and not just be the standard default aspect of wanting to pay debt. Okay. So what I'm about to show you, without doing anything, is going to be something that is going to save you $25,664. You're telling me, Romain, $25,000 without doing anything really different. How can I justify this? Well, let me tell you. What you've been mentioning to me is that no matter what, you want to be debt-free as soon as humanly possible. What I'm telling you is that you've not gone through it the right way. Why? It's because right now you've been able to go through this venture and definitely doing awesome with paying some of your credit cards and so on. But you've put yourself in a situation where you're liquid poor, $3,000. You have nothing set up for your children. On top of that, you're running off savings on things that are not the best ways to save, like the cars and the insurance and so on. So you're playing a decent game. I'm not going to criticize it extensively, but you're playing a very, very risky game. And a game today that, to my eyes, is costing you $25,000. What is that? I go by one rule, okay? But that is because, in a way, I'm a little bit potentially more on the risky side aspect of things, where I want to optimize my games to its greatest potential. And the rule is as follows. If there is any form of debt that has an interest higher than 10%, I would always prioritize paying it. But you are forcing payments on student loans that on average are at around 4.6%. Yeah? Over the time that you're trying to pay your student loans, right now you have about 9.5 years or so on those. If instead of investing overly into those student loans and paying more than the minimum, rather than investing that money that you wanted to put on those student loans, which in that case is about $500 or so per month, at the end of that period, going this route would grant you an extra $25,000. Okay. The same amount of money contributed, depending on where you put it, can grant you different outcome. This is definitely more on the risky front because you would have to invest that money. If you're telling me, Romain, no, I'm sorry, I know myself, it's not money that I'm going to invest and I'm going to, splurge it and not really be thoughtful about how I use that money, then I say pay your damn student loans and forget about it. But if you want to be a little bit more advanced, you would prioritize the way you spend your money. Okay? So in ways, what I'm saying is that right now, the idea of prioritizing your student loan payments should be the least of your worries.
Okay.
Mathematically. Because you've been lacking in other aspects of your finances, namely your liquidity, the retirement aspect of your husband, as well as the situation for your children.
Okay.
Because, my dear friend, you are about 5 to 6 months away from giving birth on deductibles that probably is estimated at around $5,000 or so, and you're telling me that you want to prioritize your student loan payments. It doesn't work. The money is not assigned the right way.
Okay.
So we're going to think about how we want to reassign this. There is another component that I want to bring to your attention. And this is something that everybody should think of. Today in America, parents, sometimes they don't really think about how they can create wealth for their children and give them a step ahead before they reach 18 years old. Okay? Think about education. Think about things that they may want to aspire to and self-discovery. What is crazy about it is that if today you want, by the time your kid is 18 years old, to have $50,000 for them to give them a ramp up, you only need to save per month $85.
Wow. For each kid?
For each kid.
Okay.
If you want to give them $100,000 by the time they're 80 years old, it's $170.
That's nothing.
Right?
Yeah.
Think about it for a second. You put on the side $100 per kid per month. You're covered.
Okay.
It's not crazy, right?
That's
We
nothing.
think it's crazy. Oh, I have to put so much money. I don't know what to. No. $100 every single month for 18 years. You're going to have to catch up on your older one. is what needs to be done for the most part to give them a ramp up and then see what happens as your situation enhances.
Right.
Let's think a little bit together about how do we reprioritize and what would I do if I was in your shoes right now as we transition into our recommendations. Today, my dear friend, I calculated everything looking at your statements. You provided me with 50 plus pages of statements, everything that you spend your money on, and I'm going to submit to you today to cover your needs. And I'm including daycare of $1,800 plus about a $500 extra miscellaneous for your kids, like the medical complications and so on, everything that kind of happens around your kids that is classified as a need. Assuming your minimum payments as well on your student loans and on the home loan, you're at $7,413. That is 73% of your income. We like it to be below 50. However, a lot of which is driven, again, by the cost associated with daycare. If you didn't have the daycare, you would be at a sweet 50% spot on.
Yeah.
So you're making that trade-off by working 60 hours a week to give you that extra bump, which today is necessary. The other thing that I want to tell you is, as always, despite your financial situation, given that you're not in an extreme case, you're still worth over $120,000 with your husband, I still want you guys to have a life and to enjoy once. I'm classifying in 3 points. One is for you and him as a partners, for you guys to maybe go out and something. I don't want you to be guilty or anyways. I'm giving you $150.
Okay.
The second thing is for your kids. Think about the McDonald's. Think about the little toys here and there that they need. $100 per kid per month.
Okay.
Okay? So we can't pull the $25 of McDonald's every other day or so now. Okay? There are things that we can better prioritize. And the last thing is for just external activities. Think like the video games of your husband, the little things for you, maybe that you want to buy yourself something. It's about $50. So I'm giving you $400 per month on your wants.
Okay.
It's about $100 a week for you guys to make it happen on things that are not necessary. Where does that leave you? This is the number that I need you to put in your mind. Today, the gold number is $2,287. That is a lot of money. But that is here to help cover 401k contribution, as well as money to go towards paying some of your debt, saving your kids, and so on and so forth. Now, let's speak about what would I do with that money. Okay? So number one, I want you to continue, no matter what, to get that sweet match from your employer on your 401k. This is the action that whoever you are, you should always do. You get your 401k to a match. That's it. That's it. No more money into a 401k right now for you.
Okay.
I don't think you want to get into that route yet. Okay? What do I want you to do? Is I want you to also maintain minimum payments on your student loans. We don't overpay for now.
Okay.
We have better priorities. Money needs to be assigned differently. For now, I know that you are stressed by that amount of student loans, but I'm telling you, this is naturally going to fall in much greater conditions. You just have to trust the process.
Okay.
So we stopped overpayment on those student loans. Instead, what we're going to do is stack as much money as we can in the next coming months to prepare for the arrival of this baby. Because right now you guys have $3,000 on your accounts. Thanks God, nothing happened. Nothing happened with the car. Nothing happens with medical complications and so on. Something arises today, you're in a tight spot. So we need to stack up cash immediately.
Okay.
So what I need to do is maintain minimum payments on all your debt right now and stack cash to the amount as soon as humanly possible to $5,000, more than what you currently have. Okay? This is going to be baby arrival budget. And I'm being kind. This, honestly, should take you about 2.5 months. It's not crazy. And you already have this covered on your mind. From that point, we're going to maintain, right now, we're not speaking about investment, none of that stuff. We don't want to overly pay on the house. We just want to keep the expenses as low as possible to increase liquidity. You're going to also build a second fund, which is an emergency fund of $5,000. And I'm being very kind, to be honest, because you're a homeowner, because you have kids and so on, the target should be mostly actually $10,000. So the baby arrival is covered. You have $10,000 of savings. Now, what do? I put $100 per month per kid on a 529. You can rest at peace that you're doing the right thing for your kid.
Okay.
Second thing, your husband changes his car. We need to change this. It's too risky. It's too gas consuming. It's not a positive financial situations. Let's not go through that, right? This is the last thing that you want to have to think about. Let's have him in something safe, nice, same for the kids. I don't want you to get into debt for that, but you can allow yourself a family car at $10,000.
Okay.
A safe one for your kids.
Okay.
You revisit the insurance. Yes, you can do it tonight. There is no freaking way you're continuing to drive on the street with this. It's done. From that point, we are now about 6 to 8 months from today. You have savings. The baby arrive. You can cover for some of your coming expenses. We start building a Roth IRA. Okay? And something that I meant to say as well with regards to your kids that may be something beneficial for you as well. If you want to go a level deeper into something that's even more advanced but so beneficial, if there is a way for either you or your husband to create a company, let's say an LLC, for anything that you do, okay? You can go through what is called as a hire your kid strategy. Have you heard of it?
I think yeah.
So what you can do is pay your kid up to he's 18 years old to the amount of $13,850 per year without having to pay federal income tax, Medicare, or Social Security on it.
Wow.
On top of that, what that does is it reduces your income, your taxable income, bringing you into a lower tax bracket. So this is a plan not right now. This is a plan probably 3 to 5 years from now.
Okay.
This is an easy way for you as you think about leveraging, and I'm sorry, that's just the way it is, leveraging your kids to a better financial situation. So if you guys have an LLC or something, this is something that you can do by using a W-4 to pay payroll tax. And at the end of the year, you issue a W-2 for your kids. And boom, $13,850, free money.
Interesting.
So this, you can do it 3 times.
Okay.
Boom. That's something that you want to elevate your game. Now, coming back to today, reality, sorry. What we want to do is from that point, then we start building a Roth IRA and we start putting investments towards potentially the market. But at that time, what's going to happen? Your kids are covered. You're being smart with regards to your debt repayment because you've put yourself into a really good situation debt-wise. What the form of debt that you had is not considered bad debt. What you have is good debt. So don't get that vicious pressures against you on it. A mortgage is good debt. You're building equity on something, not on the depreciating assets. Your student loans, at the time, you didn't know, and you both took degrees that actually pay. Your husband took an accounting degree. You took a business degree. You didn't waste your time. Now, is it expensive? That's just the way it is. But don't feel guilty of some of those actions, the past in the past. And the home equity loan at 5.75%, we try and get that shit out of the way. But you don't need, right now you're paying $45 a month on it. It's not something that you need as a priority right now.
Okay.
The pressure is not with regards to your loans. The pressure is regards to your $3,000 of liquidity. It's unacceptable. So this is where we want to target our time now. Not the ones where for the most part you're going to be covered, you're going to be okay with it. Okay? So when it comes to your financial situation, overall, I think you're going to be okay. Because you guys have put yourself in a great spot and be thoughtful about how you spend your money. Now, I would need you to speak with Mauricio and tell him, hey, my friend, you're going to have to carry a little bit the family here for the next couple months as we put this plan all together. And it has to be 100% in line because that gentleman has only saved $14,000 of retirement. So he's going to have to trust you through that line, but I'm going to write everything to paper, the whole steps, step by step on what you need to do.
Okay.
And I believe that in about a year, you're going to be golden, okay?
Yay.
But all comes from reprioritization.
Okay.
Because by just making one effort, and that's just for one of your loan, I've already granted you $25,000 of the same money. It's just reprioritizing for things that have the greatest importance. Do you have any questions?
The 401k loan, I know it's a 15% year return. You said you kind of don't like the target funds.
Yeah, so looking upon your returns in the recent years, for now, I would keep it the way it is because unfortunately you're locked into it. It's not a self-directed 401k. That's what's going on. Sometimes companies, they lock you into target funds that you can't have self-directed. So you potentially have the option. I would look with your company if you can convert that into a self-directed and invest most heavily into something like the S&P 500, for example.
Okay.
But for now, I've looked into some of the trailing performance for the trailing years for it. Mm-hmm. It seems to be doing pretty good on that front. So you are in a pretty good target fund. Is it the most optimized at this time? Maybe not by just a pinch, but this is probably something that can happen in about a year from now because you're probably going to be locked on it. At some point, I would want for you to potentially convert that into a Roth. So you're paying the taxation today at the stage that we are now. But that is if you decide to leave the company.
Oh, I see.
So that is kind of, that would be a further process. Okay. Do you feel that the 2,200 or so per month saving is achievable?
Oh, yes. I was doing that before, but putting it towards the debt.
Okay. Is there anything that will prevent you if I call you in about a month or 2 months or so and you tell me that you've saved that money on your side for the arrival of your kid?
No.
Well, my friend Gabby, I'm glad that I was able to maybe relieve a little bit of that pressure. You came a little bit anxious, and hopefully this discussion allowed us to kind of free some of that thinking and show you that there is a path for you to success, and I'm positive that you're going to make it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for following along through this journey. We invite you to like and subscribe as this helped the channel tremendously. Until then, I see you next time. À bientôt.
Hello, Gabby. This is Romain. How are you doing?
Hi, Romain. I'm doing good. And yourself?
I'm doing good. Congratulations on the baby, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
How has it been going since we've spoken together?
The first thing we did is we did stop overpaying on our student loans, and
Nice.
we have only been doing minimum payments ever since. On the 401k, we're only contributing up to the match.
Very nice.
So we changed our auto policy to what you recommended. I believe it was
5,100?
Yeah, I meant bodily injury to uninsured, underinsured. So
Let's go. Okay.
Yeah, so we did do that, and but it wasn't that much of a difference. It only went up like $20, and then kept the budget like I said that you gave us. And also,
Okay.
we currently have $9,000 in savings. So
okay.
Yeah.
How did you
Yeah.
go up about making those savings?
We stuck to the budget, and then whatever we had left over, we put into savings.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
What about? I remember the car of your husband. Is he still running that that old truck?
Yeah, I had quite a few emergencies when I was during the pregnancy. I had to go to the ER quite a few times around December,
Oh.
January, and February. Yeah, it was
Okay.
it was very hard. We were getting sick back to back. And then also the kids had to go order urgent care. So that's why we were like a little behind on those savings. But
You've been feeling more confident about you guys' finances together?
yeah, hopefully soon. We are gonna open the 529 plans for the 3 kids, and
Excellent.
then the Roth IRA. We're gonna open them as soon as we hit that 10K for the emergency fund.
Maybe that's really good news. I think that you're on a good track. Third and last baby, so that's it. The family is complete. That's awesome. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for coming from Oklahoma City. And, my line is always open. So if you have any questions in the future, you let me know. But it was a pleasure to have you on the show, Gabby, okay?
Oh, will do. Thank you. Likewise. It was a great experience.